8 divided by 2. Oh yes, it works on the left. Let's see if it works on the right. 128 divided by 2 is 64. It works. So 8 divided by 2 is... Here it says, in the Mathematical Literacy Paper 1 exam that was written in September 2022, Nosipho and Sipho, who happen to be twins, scored 98 and 134 respectively. What does that mean first? Nosipho and Sipho happen to be twins, okay, fine, scored 98 and 134 respectively. Okay, we're going to come back to that. The exam paper was out of 150 marks in total, and their parents promised them 1,000 rand to be divided or shared according to the ratio of their marks. I always say, never read these statements once, because the person who wrote this is trying to tell you something, it's trying to give you information. And therefore, if you just skim through it or just like lightly read through it, you're not going to get what they're saying. So I always read it fast the first time, and then I go back slowly and I say, in a Mathematical Literacy Paper 1 exam that was written in September 2022, and then I try to think back. Okay, the paper is written in 2022 September, and try and note out like important. This is a Maths Lit Paper 1 and it's written in September 2022, just in case something comes up. And then we have Nosipho first, and then we have Sipho second, and they happen to be twins. Okay, that's nice. And then it says they scored 98 and 134 respectively. So what does this part mean? It means that as they are written, Nosipho got 98, Sipho got 134, right? And then it says the exam paper was out of 150 marks in total. Okay, so this paper that they were written, which is paper 1, is out of 150 marks. So if it's 150, Nosipho got 98 out of 150, and Sipho got 134 out of 150. Right, okay, I got that part now. Then the next part is their parents promised them 1,000 rand. So they have 1,000 rand that they've been promised after they've written the paper. And when they get them results, the money is going to be shared. So they're going to share it among each other, but they're going to use the ratio of their marks. So if you use this to create a ratio, you're going to be able to divide the marks. So if Nosipho got 150 and 150 and out of 150, and Sipho got 150 out of 150, they would have gotten the same marks, which means that they would have to share equally, right? Okay, which is not the case here, right? This question says, write Nosipho and Sipho's mark as a ratio. So we're going to create a ratio, number 1. And how do you write a ratio? You have a number, dot, dot, a number, right? So let's try and do that and write the ratio. Nosipho, I like to start with the names. They started with Nosipho, dot, dot, Sipho, right? So this is how it is. And when I'm going to read it, I'm going to go there and say Nosipho got 98, dot, dot, 134. So we've written the ratio as a percentage. Now remember, this is not the answer. They didn't say write their names as a ratio. No, they said write their mark. Write the twins' mark as a unit ratio. Now what is a unit ratio? So I like to say, when I say do something and I say walk, what's walking? Do I firstly do I know what is walking? Because how can I walk if I don't know what is walking, right? How can I know that I'm doing what I'm being asked if I don't even know what it is? So what is a unit ratio that they want? A unit ratio is a ratio that starts with 1, and then it says dot, dot, and it says whatever number that it will say on the other. But the important thing to know that a unit ratio is written as 1, dot, dot, and then we'll have another number on this side. So how do I make any ratio, for example, this one, how do I turn it into a unit? How do I have 1 there at the beginning? There's a very easy way where you say 98 divided by 98. If it was 2 dot dot 19, then it would have been 2 divided by 2 dot dot 19 divided by 2, and then we would have the answer 1 is 2, and then we'll have the answer there, which is 19 divided by 2, and then you have your answer. which is 9,5. Now I'm going to try and do another unit ratio and say, what if it was a 9 dot dot 81, for example, right? Okay, so I need 1 on this side. How can I get 1? I take this number, I divide it by itself. So I'm going to say 9 divided by 9 dot dot 81 divided by 9. And then I'm going to get 1 on this side, obviously. Then I'm going to say 81 divided by 9, which is 9, right? See, this is a unit ratio. This one is 9,5. So this here is a unit. How do you do a unit ratio? So here they're saying we must write the twins mark as a unit ratio. So they want the one that starts with 1. So first of all, remember I said write it as the way they've given it to you first. So they said 98 dot dot 134. This is what they want us to turn into a unit ratio. And therefore now I'm going to say 98 divided by 98 so that I get 1. And then I'm going to say 134. Whatever I did this side, I have to do exactly the same. So I have to divide by 98 on the other side as well. So 98 divided by 98 is 1 dot dot. Okay, so that one is 1,3673,46939. You can round it off if you like. I don't like to do that. I prefer to, if I'm still going to use the number, or if they haven't said round off, I don't like to round off, right? Unless I'm rounding off to 2 decimal, which I can do here and say it's 1 is 2, 1,37, right? Okay. Now we're on the last part where it says write the twins mark as a simplified ratio. Remember I said I always like to write the answer as it is. So I know they want a simplified ratio, but I'm first going to write the ratio and say the ratio is 98 is to 134, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do, excuse me, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to simplify this. How do we simplify this? So what does simplifying a ratio mean? It means you write it in the smallest values without changing the value of the ratio itself, right? And without, yes. So if I were to take this ratio and say 98 divided by 134, it must 0, this answer, whatever is simplified must still also give me the same answer. So the value of the ratio doesn't change, but I've written now the ratio in smaller numbers. How do I do that? Now, if you have a scientific calculator, there are buttons that looks like this. I think some are like B, A, I don't know, there's like A, B, I don't know, I don't remember it, let me not lie. You can use that to create a ratio and press is equal to, and it will simplify it for you. My worry is that the reason I like you to know every way is that here, say you're going to write an exam tomorrow. Today, you can't find your calculator, your scientific calculator. And then someone says, here's a calculator. You're going to have a panic because you're going to get questions like this. And then in the exam, and then when you try and look at the buttons, it's not there, and you've never learned how to do it differently. And that is why I'm going to teach you this method. It will not sit the first time, but you will see me do it over and over in the revision questions. Okay. And you can try it with like different numbers as well, practice. What I do is, okay, first let me tell you how I was taught in the maths class. I was taught that you try and figure out the largest number that can divide this number and this number without leaving a comma, and then you have your thingy. But when I was in primary school, when I was in like grade 8, grade 9, I think, I could never figure out what that largest number was, and it used to frustrate me until I realized You don't have to do it that way. You can do it step by step by starting from 1. So that's how I've been doing it ever since. So what I do is I say, if I divide this number by 1 and divide this number by 1, nothing changes, so 1 is not going to work. Then I move on to 2 and I say, if I divide this number by 2, I try it out. 98 divided by 2, that's 49, and 134 divided by 2, so there's no comma, I can use 2. So if there was a comma on one of them, then I would move on and try 3. And if 3 doesn't work, I'll move on and try 4. But 2 works, so I'm going to do it. So 98 divided by 2 will give me 49 is 2. 134 divided by 2 is 67. Now I'm going to show you what I said when I said, if you say 49 divided by 67, look at the answer. Same, 0.73, what. So we haven't changed. We've made the very smaller. Now what I'm going to do is, when I look at this, I don't know if it's simplified or not. So I'm just going to quickly try again and see if I can continue to simplify this one. Now my ratio is no longer this one, it's this one. And I'm going to try and see if I can simplify this one. So I continue by saying, then I start over. Now this is a new ratio, we'll start over. I divided by 1, nothing changes. I divide 49 by 2. Oops, gives me a comma, it's no longer going to work. I divide 49 by the next number after 2, which is 3. Oops, gives me a comma. I divide 49 by 4, gives me a comma. 49 by 5 gives me a comma. 49 divided by 6 still gives me a comma. 49 divided by 7 gives me a comma. 49 divided by 8 gives me a comma. And 49 divided by 9 gives me a comma, right? So I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, it's done. I'm going to continue because it's obvious that none of these numbers are working. For bonus, we're going to try another number, which is 16 is 2. 256. Let's try this one. So here I have this ratio and I want to simplify it. I always start with 1. I say, what does 1 do? Nothing. Okay, when I divide by 2, if I divide 16 by 2, I'm going to try it on the calculator and say 16 divided by 2 gives me no comma, which means 16 it works this side, but does it work on the other side? Let's see. 256 divided by 256 divided by 2. Oh, it works on both sides. So this one is 8 and this one is 128. Then again, now that I'm done with this one, I'm going to go and do this one now and see if it still can be simplified. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I divided by 1, nothing changes. Let's try 2. 8 divided by 2. Oh yes, it works on the left. Let's see if it works on the right. 128 divided by 2 is 64. It works. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 128 divided by 2 is 64. So I divided that by 2 and I divided that by 2, right? And then I go again and say, and now I have this ratio. What can I do? So I now say 4 divided by 2. I try 1. And I say again, 1 is not going to change this ratio. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying 2. So let's try 2. So here, 2, where we can say 4 divided by 2. Yes, no comma. 64 divided by 2. Yes. So this one will be 2 is 2, 32, right? And I'm going to try again. So I divided that one by 2. And I'm going to try again to see here if I can simplify this one as well. 2 divided by 1, nothing changes. 32 divided by 1, nothing changes. Let me try the next number. The next number is 2. So let me try. 2 divided by 2, no comma. 32 divided by 2, yes. So this one is 1 is 2. 16. So the highest number that I could have, I divided that by 2 and I got that, right? I can already see if I divide by 1 by anything except for 1, it will just give me a problem. So I'm done. Anyway, here, now, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Let's see what we get. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. We get 16. So the highest number I could have used there was 16, but I didn't know that. Right? I didn't know that. I thought maybe the highest could be 8, the highest could be 4, the highest could be 2. I didn't know. So now without having the scientific calculator, I can do that. And I like to do this. I do this for fun now. I just sit there and practice them randomly for fun.